Hello, this is CK7 here, and here we are for the director's commentary of the newest series on the Villains War Forum, Heroes vs. Villains, by myself. Yeah, sorry if it took a while to do this, but the first couple times I tried, Fox blocked it for some weird reason, I don't know why. So I decided to do it this way, through a webcam. I know it's different from what most people are used to through Central Man or History Buff or myself. But JC's done it before, sort of, except that's not actual commentary, that's just her face reaction, which I'm surprised she hasn't done that with my series yet. She probably doesn't have the time. Anyway, so yeah, I'm hoping this will work. This should. There's no way they should block this. And basically I'm just gonna... Oh yeah, you notice that most is right here. So, yeah, basically I'm just gonna play the video off screen, and I'm just going to commentate on what the video is. Y'all seen the video, so I'm pretty sure you know what to expect. So basically, like Simpson Windman, I'll be commentating on basically what to expect for the series and a bunch of other stuff. So yeah, with that let's go ahead and get this started. Hold on a second. So we start off with, in the Forbidden Mountains, with Maleficent gathering her allies, Jafar, Hades, Dr. Facilier, and Judge Claude Frollo. People have asked me, though, why is Frollo in this faction? Well, it's not... It's kind of like what, Ace McKillioface does in his series, that the villains are not in alliances or anything. All the villains are working together, but, that doesn't mean they all get along. I mean, basically you could say Maleficent just needed to call in the big, main, important Disney villains, being these four, Frollo being one of them. Even though he probably didn't feel like going, he probably had other things. I can imagine that being part of a fan fiction. He's being called in a meeting, but he doesn't, like, want to. See, all the Maleficent and her allies are forging together to call in a meeting held by none other than Mock Swagger. And yes, that is his full name, in case some of y'all are wondering, which I can't help but think that is that supposed to be like a pun to Mick Jagger. And yes, I just used the anyone want a beer line. I just had to. Because since no one seems to have used that, well, they may have, I just don't know. I haven't watched all the tournaments on here. So, Mock explains to Maleficent and the villains about his plan and to summon other villains from other, like, worlds and stuff like that. Kind of a similar scenario to Kingdom Hearts, in a way-ish. I haven't thoroughly thought it out well. Like I said, I'm kind of going with the flow here. You know, interesting thing about Rock and Rule, the movie Mock comes from, I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure most of y'all have seen it. I know History Buff hasn't seen it, although I gave him a link on YouTube if he ever has the time to watch it. But, I mean, it's a very interesting but trippy film in my opinion. And it still baffles me. I know I went over this a bunch of times before, but it surprises me that this is Nelvana's first animated film they've done. Well, technically, well, yeah, it's their very first animated feature film, but before then, they did a animated short known as Daniel and the Devil Mouse, I think is what it's called. I haven't seen it. It's also on YouTube. Might have to check that out too. But it just surprised me when Rock and Roll failed in the box office. Nelvana almost went down the drain. 2 years later, they went back up when they released the Care Bear movies. That's right. The same people that made Rock and Roll are the same people that would later make the Care Bear movies. That's what baffles me. I mean, if y'all have seen Rock and Roll, it's a pretty dark and deep, well, not deep, but it is a dark animated film, and like Watership Down, it's titled as a children's movie, but I'm not sure if it should be counted as a children's movie. I don't know. So, yeah. Oh, by the way, before I continue the video, interesting thing I found out that Mock is voiced by 3 different people. His talking voice is done by Don Franks, who did a few talking voices in heavy metal. And two people do two different of his singing voices, Lou Reed and Iggy Pop. Bet y'all didn't know that, did you? Unless some of y'all love are fans of the movie. And I also found out that Catherine O'Hara voices a minor character in the movie. She voices Aunt Edith, I think is her name. For those that don't know what I'm talking about, she ran a tattoo shop, but she was only in the movie for like a few minutes. But Catherine O'Hara, you may know for playing as the mother in Home Alone and Home Alone 2. She played in, she did the voice of Ludmilla in Bartok the Magnificent. She, what else did she do? Oh yeah, she also did a few voices in Frankenweenie, the new Frankenweenie. Yeah, she did a lot of voices. She is pretty popular, so it really surprised me to find out that she actually voiced one of the characters in Rock and Roll. So next we cut to the scene in Watership Down with Hazel and Fiver. Yeah, I do find it interesting that it's John Hurt that voices Hazel, the main rabbit, who you may also know for voicing the Horned King in The Black Cauldron. Yeah, someone on the forum complained they couldn't hear the sound very well, and I'll be honest, I can't hear it very well either. Well, one thing is my laptop, it doesn't have a very good volume system. Just sort of watching this at the moment, seeing if there's anything on here I can point out. Alright, now we go to the actual fight, and I think this is the one that keeps making my videos block or something before, but it should not block this time. So yeah, we go to Anastasia versus Hades. This was a fight I was questioning if I should have included in round 1 or not. Well, in the next round, I don't know, it's kind of complicated to explain, but without, spoiling anything. But someone basically convinced me that I should include it because to keep the tradition of Hades being the first one to give a fight in the first round in a tournament. Because that is the funny thing I've noticed, is that a lot of these villain tournaments, Hades is given the first first fight. In Disney vs. 90s Villains, he fought Hexus. In Disney Villain Wars, it was Facilier. In Disney vs. Marvel, it was Loki. In Animated vs. Video Games, it was the Zeus from God of War. In Disney vs. Anime, it was him. And in Disney Heroes vs. Villains, it was Aladdin. So yeah, I find that very interesting. In most of the tournaments, he is given the first fight. I wasn't sure at the time if I should break the tradition or keep it, but people said I should just keep it, so I did. So Hades goes to Rasputin and I guess you could say asked him to join Maleficent's group, and he'll even help him out, try to rid of Anastasia. Now History Buff asked me this: why did Rasputin offer Hades these demons? It wouldn't be that much different. He did himself. Well, I guess you could say it's because Rasputin, he's not in limbo, at least not yet. Ooh, spoiler. I guess my answer is because, it's not a very vague answer, but Rasputin just doesn't have the power yet to do anything for him, at least not yet, he doesn't. So he needs others to do his bidding for him.
Something's not right. Wait here, check it out. Anybody here?
Hades. James Wood did a really good job with him. And yes, you probably noticed I used half the max footage. Of course, then again, like History Buff says, you're going to have to get footage where you can get it, even if it is footage that's poorly done. Okay, is there anything else I was going to talk about this? I'm trying to think if there was anything. I will be honest, the story arc for Anastasia, I haven't thoroughly thought out. I'm still trying to think it out. Actually, there's quite a few story arcs here I haven't yet thoroughly thought out yet on how to do. Except for maybe a couple story arcs so I know how to do it. Oh yeah, I also want to thank, I think it's Gordanks, whatever your name is, who suggested this music piece for me. It was on his list, so it fit so well. So next we cut to Aladdin and Jasmine versus Zigzag. And as you notice, I changed the music, mostly because that last music didn't quite fit well with the rest of the video. I mean, it could have. Mostly, where are you going? I will say though, this fight was originally going to be Aladdin versus Rasputin, but I decided I'll save that for a future round, probably. So Jafar goes to Zigzag and recruits him to Maleficent's faction, and sends him to start Mock and Maleficent's plan to capture all the various Disney and, this time, non-Disney princesses and heroines. Sorry, stuffed up nose. Well, not really stuffed up, it's just itchy. Yeah, I am doing the whole captured princess thing. I know, it's been done a bunch of times, but this time it's not just Disney princesses, but non-Disney princesses. I'll be honest, this one was pretty fun to make. Gosh, I love Zigzag. I mean, maybe it's because he's voiced by Vincent Price. Well, kind of. And I think The Thief and the Cobbler is an underrated non-Disney animated film. I mean, I could kind of see why some people think it's not that good, or at least the Miramax version, because it doesn't really have the original ideas by the original creator of the movie back in the 60s. But even the Miramax version I didn't think was that bad. I mean, and speaking of Thief and the Cobbler, one thing I haven't yet thought out to use yet is the thief in this movie. You know, for those who've seen the movie, the thief is kind of one of the main characters, but he's kind of like Scrap from the Ice Age movies. How he rarely interacts with the main characters, and he has his own story going on. So I'm trying to think, how can I use the thief in this tournament exactly? I can't really use it for a fight, I don't think. But as for, I don't know, I haven't thought that out yet. Maybe you guys could come up with an interesting idea. So, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Yeah, a lot of people point out that they loved how Zigzag tries to swoo with Jasmine. I mean, seriously, I guess you know, I'll be honest, of all the Disney princesses and heroines, I think Jasmine will have to be up there in my top 5 favorites. I mean, because, I mean, she is probably up there as the top 5 most attractive of all the Disney princesses and heroines. I mean, seriously, if someone out there says that Jasmine isn't attractive, is either lying or, well, just lying. I'm just saying. And of course, Zigzag, he's trying to be all gentleman and suave and civil and stuff, and Jasmine goes all fake flirty. What are you doing, Mosa? Yeah. Oh, now what are you doing? Hey. Hey! Jeez. Snake. And of course, Zigzag gets, you know. And then Aladdin sees him flirting with her. And also, History Buff also asked this, are Aladdin and Jasmine married at this point, or does she think he's Prince Ali, or is it somewhere in between? I guess I'll say it's somewhere in between, maybe, just for the sake of it. That's another thing, I haven't thought out exactly when to take place. I guess you could say Mock screwed up the timeline big time of movies and history and all that. And Zigzag escaped. And by the way, this is one thing I'm surprised no one brought up on the forum, that, yes, I'm doing the princess thing, but you just notice, wait, Zigzag failed to capture Jasmine. Because the thing I've noticed in both Kingdom Hearts and in Disney Heroes vs. Villains is that it seems as if the villains capture the princesses right off the bat. Like, right on the first try. Like, it's a piece of cake. Where I'm thinking, you know, maybe the villains are, like, should, you know, give the princesses somewhat of a chance, and, like, as you see here, Zigzag failed to capture Jasmine, so Maleficent's gonna have to send another villain in the future to get her. So, at least that's the way I see it. I mean, it won't happen for every princess, but maybe for some. So, okay, mostly you're kind of pressing against my neck. So next we go to Charlie and Itchy versus Madame Medusa, which I'll be honest, this was another one I really liked making, even though, yeah, it does seem a little lazy a bit, but it does work. I mean, like what History Buff said, it has its pros and cons of it just works. Medusa sees the dogs and she tries to shoot at them. And I'll be honest, All Arts Will Go to Heaven is probably my second favorite Don Bluth movie, right after The Land for Time, which, by the way, I'm actually excited to include The Land for Time in this tournament. I kind of sort of have Littlefoot's story arc somewhat planned out, but we'll see. And, you know, this is probably my favorite scene in All Arts Will Go to Heaven, in the beginning where they try to escape, well, okay, not try, but they do escape from the dog pound. And I love Itchy. I mean, Dom DeLuise, he's an awesome actor. I mean, he's known for doing a lot of Don Bluth characters. I mean, he did Itchy, he done Tiger from American Tail, he done Jeremy the Crow from Secret of NIMH, he did Stanley from A Show in Central Park. And besides Don Bluth characters, he voiced the Magic Mirror in Happily Ever After, and did Fagin from Disney's Oliver and Company. Alright, so next we go to Bernard and Bianca versus Warren T. Rat. I'll be honest, this one's my least favorite that I did. One, it's not really a fight, and two, it was quite short. I didn't exactly know how I would do this. But, I mean, really the whole point of this one was to somehow get the League of Mice started, which, by the way, sorry, hold on. I asked Ace Killerface if I did offend him on using that term, because it's a term he came up with. But he said he was not offended, and he was actually going to private message me a while back if I were going to include it, that he would like to see what I have in store for the League of Mice. But yeah, it will be the Disney mice, but as well as a few of the non-Disney mice. There's not a lot, but there are a couple. And really the whole point of this is, basically, I guess I should have been more specific in the description, that Bernard and Bianca are looking for Basil's headquarters, but they get lost, and they decide to take a shortcut through an alley, but what they don't know is that's where Warren and his gang are. So basically they try to take a shortcut, but they... Whoop. Yeah. I'll be honest, I like Bernard and Bianca. I mean, I don't know why, but I just love that Hungarian accent of Bianca. I can't remember, is it Eva Gabor or Zsa Gabor that voices Bianca? I think it's Eva Gabor, if I remember correctly. And also, the other thing is, like Ace McKillioface with this series, I'm trying to keep as many of these villains in this tournament as possible, like, keep them as far towards the end as I can. Because some of these non-Disney villains are going to be really hard for me to use, like Warren T. Rats, General Wanwards, Cloud Bandas, because of how little footage they have. So I'm trying to be wise with their footage at the right time and stuff, like keep them until the end or near the end of the part one.
How about trying 3 blocks down and 4 blocks over?
Okay, next we go to Freddy versus Ursula. So Ursula goes to Monte Carlo, France, or Monaco, France, or whatever History Buff said about it. I get that stuff. And she goes there to try to capture Freddy for Messina. And so she turns him into a frog, of course. You know, what is it with princes getting turned into frogs and princesses getting turned into swans? I never really got that. Well, at least that's just one princess. I'm not sure if that's the case with a lot of other princess tales, but, you know. You know, Freddy vs. F407 I thought was an okay film, even if it didn't make sense half the time. You know, like how... Like, okay, basically, this is how I would see it, and this is like... I know the Nostalgia Critic did not review this movie. Actually, I think it would be pretty cool if he could review it in a future episode, but anyway... Here's how I think he would put it out. It's a movie about a young prince who gets turned into a frog by his Aunt Messina, who is a sorceress that can turn into any random animal, mostly a cobra, who the prince eventually grows up to the modern age and becomes a James Bond character, an amphibian equivalent to James Bond, who works for somewhere in Britain to stop an evil Spanish man who is married to his evil aunt. That's right, he's married to Messina, in case y'all didn't know that. That would make El Supremo Freddy's uncle. Anyway, a Spanish man married to an evil sorceress that can turn into whatever animal. He has an army of American Klansmen and German Nazis in hopes to take over London and eventually the world. And Freddy has with him the British Brigade and a Loch Ness Monster to help him on all this. What? I mean, what more can you say? That is like very random out there. I mean, but it was an interesting film, I'll be honest, even if it doesn't make a lot of technical sense. You know, the one thing that always confuses me, if the castle that Freddy lives at is in France, why is the Loch Ness Monster there? Because the Loch Ness Monster is from Scotland. Unless she's on vacation or something. So Ursula retreats in hopes to trap Freddy and Nessie. And finally we have Mickey, Donald, and Goofy versus El Supremo, which, I'll be honest, this was probably my favorite fight I've done, and it was really fun to make. So El Supremo uses giant flying snake machine thing. That doesn't make a lot of sense, and also what are you doing? Yeah. So he goes to capture Buckingham Palace, but Mickey and his friends run into the building just in time before it gets carried off.
Success! We have the target in our point.
You know, this fight was originally going to be Mickey Mock versus... What did I just say? Mickey Mock? What the... Wow, I could imagine JC saying something like that later on the board. Wow, that was bad. Let me start over. Mickey Mouse versus Mock. That's what this was originally going to be, but, I think I might save that later on. And one, when I thought it out, I thought it'd be way too similar to the Mickey versus Maleficent fight in Disney Heroes vs. Villains. So I think I'll hold that one off till later. And besides, it would have been the story would have been way too similar to Disney Heroes vs. Villains. So that's why I switched it to El Supremo. Mickey Mock. Oh my gosh, that's man. And so a sword fight breaks out between all of them. And I think El Supremo is a pretty okay villain. I mean, he's voiced by the same actor who voices Clayton in Tarzan. And of course Goofy just plows him down. And Minnie sees the commotion, but gets captured by Messina. And so, and here starts Mickey's quest to save the one he loves. So now we go to the epilogue, which I know, it's brief, but it's only round 1, so you have to expect it to be brief. So, Ariel and Flounder meet Nessie and Freddy, and a friendship soon starts between them. You know, another thing, if someone can answer me this, that'd be great. Where does The Little Mermaid take place? Because I know it takes place somewhere in Europe, but like where in Europe? Because I think I remember one time reading that it takes place in Denmark. I could be wrong, but I think it's Denmark. If that's the case, what's Ariel doing in Loch Ness or Monte Carlo or wherever this is they are? You know, she seems to be taking it easy that she's talking to the Loch Ness Monster, a creature that's thought that most people don't exist. How a mythological mermaid meets with the mythological... Of course, that makes more sense. They're mythological buddies, I guess you could say. Oh, by the way, for those who probably don't know, interesting fact, this music right here I'm using for this bit, it's from Primeval, which, by the way, is my favorite live-action sci-fi TV show. I mean, I love it as much as History Buff loves Doctor Who. Which, by the way, when I do live-action characters, when I get to that point, I do hope to include Doctor Who in the future. I mean, of course, I gotta watch it first. But here's an idea, History Buff, if you're watching this. I watch Doctor Who, you watch Primeval. I mean, I'm pretty sure they have Primeval on Netflix. There's 5 series in total, and there's a total of 36 episodes. I mean, I think you would like it yourself. It's a really good show. In fact, I even have all 5 series on DVD right here. See? There's the Volume 1 with Series 1 and 2. Volume 2 with Series 3. And, of course, Volume 3 with Series 4 and 5. I mean, it's a really good show, and I'm hoping maybe when I go to live action I'll be able to include it somehow. And that includes with other TV shows like Sherlock and Once Upon a Time. Of course, I gotta watch Once Upon a Time and Sherlock, so I haven't watched those as well. I will say this though, this alliance here, I guess you could say, between Ariel and Nessie and them, it won't last that long, maybe in the first few rounds. It's just because Nessie and Freddy in this form don't have a lot of footage. So then we cut to this part with Hazel and Fiverr. Fiverr sensing that something is in a mist in the air. That something ain't right. I will say Watership Down is in my top 10 favorite non-Disney animated films. It's really good. It's very realistic. It's very well drawn. I will say though, I still have not finished reading this book right here. I mean, I'm like on chapter like 24, I think. So I still got a long way to go. And so Fiverr senses danger, and in his vision you see Hexus and the Firebird, which I will say that is kind of what will happen in the future, maybe. We'll see. Let's just say Hexus and the Firebird aren't their only troubles. That won't be the first troubles they'll have to deal with. You know, I wasn't originally going to have Bambi show up in the scene, but it kind of didn't fit the time slot I was given. Which, speaking of time slot, I'm surprised no one ever referenced the fact that this round is 15 minutes long. For round 1, that's pretty long. Kind of makes you wonder how long my future rounds will be. Melissa, where are you going? So, yeah, that was Heroes vs. Villains Round 1. Sorry if this commentary wasn't that good. I know it's not the same as actually watching the video while I talk about it, like what I've done in my past fan commentaries. But like I said, I hope this works. I mean, this should upload. If it doesn't, I'm going to be ticked. In fact, it better not block any future rounds I have to release, because if it does, I'm going to be even more ticked. Better my commentary to be blocked than the actual video itself. Which, speaking of which, as y'all seen, round 2, I'm making some progress. Disney Daniel has been supplying me with the movies I need. But unfortunately, since I don't have a premium membership to BitShare, I can only download 1 movie per day, which, at the rate I'm going with that, it'll probably sometime next week or the week after, till this round comes out, maybe. Like I said, I'm back to school, and I'll be busy this week and the next several weeks. I think my last day of school is like in the beginning of May, so it won't be long now. But yeah, I'll be busy with my online U.S. history class and my English class as well. But yeah, before I turn this off, I just want to say thank you guys so much for your help and support for the series. Thank you to Disney Daniel, Toon Master, James Kill, Ace McKillioface, History Buff, pretty much anyone on here who helped me with, give support and all. And I know you guys already left plenty of commentaries, and History Buff did his commentary, but I just want to say this already, even though it's kind of late to say it, that just for future rounds, you just feel free to leave commentaries and opinions, and, but be nice about it. Be honest, but, I want you to be honest and tell me if there's anything that needs to be improved or explained. It's the only way I'll learn, but be nice about it, because I'll be perfectly honest, I'm kind of nervous making the series and hoping that you guys will like it. So, yeah, is there anything else I want to bring up? I don't know. I think I pretty much brought everything I need up. Yeah, I guess that's about it. So, yeah, this is Secret Promise 7, and have a nice day.